State your online name.
My online name is Buzz Moon.
All right, what's the date today?
Today's date is the 4th of July, 2021.
Have you been sponsored, paid, or incentivized, Crypto Wizards or myself, in any way to do this interview?
Absolutely not.
So, let's get started. Are you ready?
I think I am.
How long have you been involved in cryptocurrency?
In cryptocurrency as a whole, probably about 3 years. 3 years, maybe going on 4. I've been an investor for kind of right since the beginning. Building projects wise, the last kind of year and a half, something like that.
And are you a programmer?
No. I know I have a very basic knowledge of programming through kind of Solidity and stuff, but my main kind of focus is on design. I'm mainly kind of front-end design. I have a dev team that I kind of communicate with for all kind of development side of things.
So your dev team do the front-end programming and you're drafting up the graphics and the prototypes?
Precisely, yeah.
How much time do you spend on crypto projects?
In all honesty, I'd probably say about 90% of my time, a huge amount of my time.
What about the other 10, 20%?
You know, trying to keep the missus happy, just doing the odd things around the house, putting the socks away, stuff like that.
Why are you drawn to crypto?
I love crypto. I think it's revolutionary. I really do. The decentralized aspect of crypto is really what draws me in. I've hated for years the powers that control our nations and the ways that we are told to live our lives. With crypto, it gives us the possibility to actually fight back. Hey, this is our decentralized world. This is what we can do. Let's give the power back to the people, and that's why I love it.
What is your crypto project called, the one that you're working on at the moment?
So my current project is called Moonass. The ticker for that is MOAS.
Moonass.
Moonass.
Like a donkey.
Just like a donkey. In fact, a donkey on the moon, hence the name.
Right, well, I'm interested in asking you more about that. Do you think crypto has opened up opportunities for the underdog?
Oh yes, 100%. But naturally with that, it's brought a huge amount of problems for, investors, developers, everyone. Crypto is it's exploded a bit almost like a plague, unfortunately, and it's trying to kind of find the good within all of the bad and the ugly that's swimming around in the market these days. That's the real hard thing to do.
What is the good, the bad, and the ugly?
I mean, where do we even begin with that? I mean, the market, as I said, is absolutely plagued these days. It's relatively easy, so to speak, to actually create a crypto project, but to create a working crypto product with an actual utility use, something that people can use and better their lives or how we kind of see things in the world. That's a tall order. There's not a lot of companies that do that, and that's really what actually sets us apart from everyone else. Because that is we are aiming to achieve that.
What do you feel is the number one issue facing crypto right now?
100% is going to be trust. That is the main problem that we have in the entire space.
I mean, it's kind of founded though, isn't it? Because we've got people starting projects and running off with other people's money.
It happens left, right and centre. It is such a shame to see, but unfortunately, with it being kind of unregulated how it is, there's no way really to control that. The main things you can do from an investor's point of view is always do your own research. If you're going to be investing in any project, you've got to know what you're investing in. You've got to understand their roadmap. You must understand how they work, what they're kind of pushing for, what they're aiming to achieve, and not being unrealistic on your expectations. Very few people make times 10 overnight, and if they do, guess what? It's coming back down the next day. You have to be so careful.
So what made you start your own crypto?
I was fed up of seeing all these projects basically doing this. I've had enough of it. I've worked on a couple myself previously to this. I've had enough of people basically blowing hot air in people's faces saying, hey, Look at what we can bring you. In actual fact, is nothing but a graphic on a screen with absolutely no use case, with developers behind it, with absolutely no intention of building or putting forward to the world what they've created.
So you've been involved in other projects that have basically been like rug pulls.
Yeah, well, not necessarily rug pull, so to speak, but more a cash and a grab.
What happened? Tell us a bit about that.
My naivety got the best of me, I'd say, is what happens. I trusted someone who I didn't really know. We began a project. He was quite clear from the beginning that he was the creator. He held all of the keys. He deployed all the contracts. It was his show he was running. Now, the problem with that one in particular, he actually stole my idea. I had a really, really nice idea that I wanted to work on. Is more kind of tailored towards the entertainment industry. He pretty much said, hey, I'm going to let you run this. I'm going to give you a budget. Ran an ILO, did a token sale, raised a bunch of ETH, never ever came through with giving me a budget. Kept stringing us along time after time, saying there wasn't enough money now to develop. I'd throw countless designs at him for our UIs or dApps, say, how about this, how about that? He would just never get back to me. Then, when I actually started really getting a bit suspicious, I decided to look into Etherscan. Now, what you must remember on the blockchain is it's all visible. If you want answers, you can go looking for these answers. Unfortunately, what I found made me feel physically sick. I had found countless. I literally got lost in trying to follow these transactions, but the main ones that concerned me was big ETH transactions coming out of deployer wallets, going into different kind of wallets, different suicide contracts to try and hide the trace from them, then going out into Binance wallets. They were all exchange wallets. When I actually questioned him about it, he first of all said it was investor money, and then he completely backtracked and said that it was his own personal wallet that he was now having to dig into to fund the project, which was an absolute lie, because say there was another one sitting right next to him with 300 ETH in, something like that. So the absolute main thing that you're doing, you need to be able to trust in this environment. If there's any way to build or install trust in people, that is what needs to be achieved.
So you were a whistleblower, essentially.
I was a whistleblower.
What made you decide to call them out?
There's absolutely no way that I was letting him get away with that. It's disgusting. In the right thing to do in that situation is always give the investors their money back. And I actually said this to him. I said, if you've not got any intention of actually building the product that we have set out to build, you must give back the investors' money. Which he replied, he hasn't done anything wrong. So that was a massive red flag for me to get out of there. All I could do at this stage was warn anyone that was involved in the project, any community moderators. I then actually went on and whistle blew on the actual community themselves, and to let people know what was going on. And then unfortunately they blocked me, which is as expected. But I feel like I made a good effort to try and really raise awareness of what was going on for people. So the main people that we actually hit out to were the chief advisor of the company, who actually had no idea what was going on, and also the marketing firm, who had absolutely no idea what was going on. As soon as both of those found out, they dropped it instantly.
Do you have any idea how much, roughly, in dollar terms or ETH terms, whatever you prefer, do you have roughly how much this project had raised in funding?
I know through the token sales, I know that they raised over 1,000 ETH between the two tokens that we created. Now, obviously a portion of that was locked in liquidity, which again is another one of my concerns, because why should he be allowed to have that locked liquidity if he's got no intention of building the product?
How did the market respond when you whistle blew?
If I'm going to be honest with you, he basically began crashing the project about three months ago, something like that. I don't know if I personally think he did it intentionally. Now, long story short, the community lost interest. A huge amount of people dropped off. Unfortunately, when I whistle blew, there was only like a select few people who, undoubtedly had been in there. The regular ones that I'd noticed in there for the last month actually responded. The community had thousands of people in, yet 5 people respond. That's another bit of a warning sign right there, isn't it?
Wait a minute. So the strategy being taken here, which is what you're guessing, is that some of these projects get everyone's hopes up, raise a ton of money, disappoint them about the project so they think it's a lost cause.
Yeah.
And so that they don't cry or complain
Exactly.
when the money's gone.
Exactly. And in the background, rather than pulling all the liquidity from the tokens, which is a lot of what people see in general rug pulls, what these people do is they basically grab the cash and run. So they grab the investors' cash and they run. They leave the tokens as they are. They let the tokens do whatever they want to do, which is why a lot of people get fooled. But in actual fact, what they have done is they've swapped the money through multiple different wallets or whatever, transferred in and out of exchanges to try and wash the money, and say that's a huge problem. Again, this is a huge thing in doing a token sale. This is why it's so important to lock liquidity.
So this is really a play on people's emotions more than anything.
100%, yeah.
So how were you affected by this?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, it absolutely broke me. It absolutely broke me in two. It caused a huge amount of problem with my home life. As I said to you, we mentioned earlier, I spend about 90% of my time on crypto. So you can imagine home life wasn't too great. It's caused a lot of anxiety. It's caused a lot of worry. So the main concern for me, being involved in the project from day one, is to basically deliver a fully working product. Something which is what we were aiming to do right from the beginning. And a lot of the anxiety actually came from the fact, the stern realisation that I actually realised we weren't going to be doing any of that because of how he was running the project. So it caused me a huge amount of distress. And again, this was a massive driving force for me to go out and do my own one. I don't want anyone to get caught out like how I got caught out.
Well, you talk about trust, and the problem here is this fellow, man or woman, they ran off with a bunch of money. I think it's commendable that you had actually whistle blew on that, but you've started a project and you're anonymous.
Yeah.
So why have you gone anonymous if trust is so important?
In my eyes, identity is not crucial in what we're doing. Now with Moonass, we're scratching on the surface of a decentralized network, to say the least. End goal wise, I really envision our ecosystem heading more towards a decentralized world. There is a lot of kind of ideas that we have working within this. Going back to the identity thing, in a decentralized world, we don't want to be governed or, controlled by one leader, one dictator. We're not interested in people knowing who we are. We don't want praise, we don't want anything like that. We want to provide people with a working product, something that people can use and benefit from, and that in itself is the greater glory for me.
Do you think that projects are getting overfunded?
100%.
What are they typically bringing in?
It's hard to say, but I've seen a lot of projects, especially on Binance chain recently, raising stupid amounts of BNB. When in reality, a lot of these are, especially you kind of look at the meme coin side of things. What are they actually using these funds for? So, there is little to, if not nothing, that these companies actually need to spend this raised money on to further develop their products. So why do they need to raise that much money in the first place? It's a huge red flag for me straight away.
So really what's going on is there's just this hot potato. What can you invest in next? Make the gains, pull it out, invest in something else, but none of it has any bread under it.
Yeah. And in fact, there's a lot of investors that sit on these kind of launchpad platforms that actually just look for that. They're not interested in the tech. They're not interested in the utility you're bringing to the market. All they want to know is whether, if they buy your pre-sale, will it pump? Will they make a ×2 or ×3? And can they take their funds out? That is all that they care about. The market is ruthless.
So how much did you raise for your project for Munas?
For Munas, we hit soft cap about 3-4 hours into our sale, which was really nice. Was it 3-4 hours? It might have been a little bit longer, maybe about 5 hours. I can't remember. It was within the first day anyway. We raised 6 figures basically. We raised about 100 grand. 80% of that we locked straight away. As I said, the main thing for us is to have our investor confidence to actually realise we are building. We will provide you with a working product, and it will succeed.
Well, hang on. So 100 grand dollar. We're talking US dollars roughly. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
So about 100 grand is usually actually on the lower end of what projects raise. How do you feel about that? Would you have liked to raise more?
The reason we had a higher cap in place. Now, the reason we had the higher cap in place was to hit all of these other developments that we have in our ecosystem. Now, Munas is just the very beginning. I talked briefly about us kind of developing a decentralized social network. Now, Munas has the component to do the messaging on that platform. Okay, so we are looking to bring other products into our ecosystem to do different functions on that social platform and bring different purposes to the market. So with us, we wanted to raise a higher cap. As I said, we were locking 80% of it always. The more that we would have raised, we would have put more into development. It's as simple as that.
Gotcha. So you raised about 100 grand, which actually for the size of Munas, do you feel like that's enough?
Just about. I mean, we've got enough funds to pay developers, pay marketers, and really start getting the ball rolling on this thing for sure. As I said, you don't need a 7-figure sum to start.
You don't need millions to start a crypto, but some of these cryptos out there are raising millions, and basically that money is gone.
Precisely.
Right. So how much, if you don't mind me asking, how much did it cost you to get the development sorted for Munas?
Development, we actually went through a couple of developers right at the beginning. Now, again, going back to the trust thing, developers hold all of the power. Developers actually scare the life out of me because they hold all the power. I mean, they could build whatever they wanted into your code. If you've got no understanding of exactly what they're writing, they could provide mint functions in there to then, basically mint your token. They can pull all of those minted tokens out and pull all the liquidity out that way. You have no idea what they're doing. You have to trust them. Now, I mean, we actually went through 2 before we settled with our proper development firm. Luckily for me, I actually know the development firm personally from previous projects, so I've got a good working relationship with them anyway as it is. They're very well established. They've got over kind of 500 employees, and I communicate directly with their COO. So again, going back to the trust, it's so important. Developers are near enough the crooks themselves that are behind this. As I said to you, it's easy to create a token. Now, if you're a developer, you can go and create a token. You can go and put it out for sale. Now, if it goes viral or you just pay for a touch of marketing, that thing is going to take off like an absolute rocket for minimal work.
So how much does it cost to get to where you are right now for the project?
It's cost about 20 grand, I'd say.
US dollars, yeah.
20 grand US dollars, yeah.
And does any of that include your own money? Have you put any of your own funds into this?
Yes.
So what's the crypto project you're working on at the moment? What is this Munas? And what the heck does it
Munas, well, there you go. There's the name. You just said it there yourself. Munas is what we're working on. We're touching on freedom of speech, freedom of expression. What we've built with Munas is a messaging UI. Basically, users can send messages, anonymous messages, but obviously their wallet addresses will be attached to these messages on our user interface. That's almost built. Now, obviously in doing this, we won't ever censor, we won't ever ban, we won't ever delete anyone's comment or anyone's, profile or whatever from the user interface. It is community run, it is run by the people, and that's the way it will always be. We want it to be decentralized,
So nothing can be censored. Someone posts, say, a comment.
Yeah.
And let's say they're a really bad actor. They're posting hate speech. They're being totally racist or whatever. How do you deal with something like that?
The harsh reality is we won't be dealing with it. This is one of the reasons actually we need to remain anon, because we're putting this in motion. We're providing this for the people with this platform. We're not regulating it. We're not leaders. We're not dictators. We don't want any praise for what we're doing. We want to provide this for the people, show them it works, let them use it. Simple as that. Now, if someone is silly enough to put hate speech or anything like that on our UI, their wallet address will be right next to that transaction. So every single person who goes on that UI will know exactly where that wallet has come from, and they will probably get the same treatment that they've dished out. Crypto is a dark, dark place. You've got to learn how to kind of dance within the lights within it, if that makes sense.
So what you mean is there's an incentivization for them not to be idiots.
For sure.
What does that do? Does it hit them in the pocket? How do they feel that pain?
I mean, that wallet will be completely tainted forever. And any transactions they do on from that wallet, you've got to remember that all this stuff is visible. People can see all of this stuff on BSC Explorer, which is obviously the Binance chain version of the Etherscan. All of this stuff is visible now. If you're silly enough to go and start saying this stuff to people, it's going to be attached to your wallet. And then any further wallets that you transfer on from, people are still going to know it's you. They won't know your name behind it, but they will know that that's the wallet it's come from.
Who makes it visible? Is it the community which are flagging up these accounts being, negative?
Yeah, I mean, so to speak, I mean, the trouble that we're going to find is when users screenshot, for example, and then post what they've seen on a platform, say like Twitter or Facebook, because obviously there's high amounts of censorship on those platforms. There's a high chance it will just get blocked straight away, which again is why we're touching on this whole freedom of expression, freedom of speech.
All right, so you're not a programmer.
No.
What kind of resource do you need to start a project like this if you're not a developer?
You need developers, quite simply. You can't build any code without developers. Now, if you wanted to, you could go and hard fork a code. Now, hard forking a code effectively is just like copying and pasting, but you need to change variables. You need to change the supply characteristics, like any kind of token functions that you don't want in your token, all done in Solidity. Again, this is why you need developers. You need someone that you can trust to work on your product.
Yeah, so what is it actually built on? Did they use Solidity to develop this crypto?
Yeah. Our whole token is built in Solidity. The actual functions we have in our tokens, obviously we've attached. We can attach string messages with our transactions through the hex data. Now, built into our token, so not only is it a utility token, it's also a auto-staking deflationary token. Now, every single transaction, whether it be a buy, sell, transfer, or a message from our UI, will have this transaction tax, which is 8%. That 8% is broken up to 5%, which will be redistributed to all of the MOAS holders, and then 3% of that will be burned from supply forever, gone.
I thought, this sounded like a meme coin, but now it doesn't sound like a meme coin anymore.
I'm glad you've said that.
Right.
I'm glad you've said that. This is the angle that we were trying to hit on. We joke we're a meme coin, but we're really not. We're a utility coin. We're a utility coin with a funny, comical kind of bit of imagery behind us. It's as simple as that. To send messages on our UI, how you will actually do it is you will slap our ass on the moon. That is the whole, slap is to slap an ass on the moon is to send a message.
Donkey when you say ass.
I mean a donkey, yeah.
So the way to send a message, every time you send a message, what you're saying actually happens for
Yep.
the user
Yep.
is they slap a donkey's bottom.
They got to slap a donkey's ass to send a message.
And this is actually something that is near enough functional.
Oh, it's functional.
So you've created a meme coin that actually does something.
100%. That is exactly what we've done.
Right.
This is what makes me so excited. This is when people start actually realising what we've created here, the rest of them will fizzle away. There is no use, no point to any of these other meme coins.
Is there a part of you that's worried that the minute it's launched, all the investor interest will go because the project's done and they're going to just try and move on to the next thing?
Well, even if they were to do that, they're going to get stung on the transaction tax. That's the one thing we've tried to build this into our token so that people can effectively not dump it. The whole idea is that if people are to try and trade it and make small gains out of it, the whole of our community is going to be rewarded for this. That's the whole point.
So you've disincentivized bad actors, basically.
Basically, yeah.
The only risk around this project is you running off with the money. What have you done? You've already talked about locking in tokens.
We've locked in 80% liquidity so far. In 6 months' time, we'll reevaluate that and we'll lock some more on either V3, if there's a V3 pancake swap, or any other platform. We'll see at that time. We will see what's best for the community and for the product, and then we will move forward from there.
So, MVP, for those who don't know, minimum viable product. Your goal at the moment is doing this MVP, getting this done, right? How far are you from completing on that?
I'll just say MVP is everything right now. MVP is, in my eyes anyway, is the most crucial thing that a product, like a project, can produce for anyone. An MVP is it's the alternative to the bag of hot air. This is proving that we actually do something, that we actually have a use that will benefit people from. Like, the MVP is absolutely crucial.
How many meme coins, in your experience, actually build an MVP of some kind?
I'll be honest, I haven't seen a single one that's built any MVP.
So going back to our earlier discussion, you've already put your own money in.
Yes.
You've already developed this. It's not far off. You're hesitant to give a date, which tells me you're worried about the reliability of developers.
Not so much that. I have full faith in our developers. Why I don't want to give a date is more for the fact of promising and not delivering. Now, we want to make sure that this is entirely functional. It works perfectly and that people are going to benefit from it. So we're not going to put that out until it ticks all of those boxes. So I don't want to then put a date in motion and say Friday, three weeks time, and then not hit that Friday because we have to do some further testing on the back end, for example.
So you've obviously met some developers and worked with some people, but you don't know them. This is one of the first ones you've got through the door. What stops these getting hacked? What have you done to make sure that what's being coded is actually legit and secure?
The main thing you can do for your code is to get it audited. The most important thing in my eyes actually is to run it through a decent security audit. I mean, we use the firm Solidity.finance. They're a very well-respected company, and they work really fast as well. That's to say the least. I mean, they provided us a full report within 4 days.
What was their report? What did it look like?
They might as well have put a golden star on top of it. It really looks. I was anxious myself, having to kind of wait for the report to come back, and obviously not having coding knowledge myself, you don't know what they're going to come back and say. But I'm happy to report they came back and said that it was an absolute solid bit of code with their exact words. You can see the full report actually online. It's in our Telegram chat in the links.
So talk us through the actual process here, because lots of people have thought about starting a crypto for good or bad reasons. Nonetheless, what steps do they actually have to go through, start to finish, to get a crypto successfully launched?
Depends what kind of finance you've really got behind you. The main things from the ground up are to get a solid concept organised. Once you get a solid concept organised, you can start kind of building a team around yourself. Then you really want to start outsourcing, because the majority of the people are not going to know either how to develop or how to market their product successfully. So that's really where investors' funds comes into it. You need money for marketing, you need money for development to push your product further along in the market. Once you've solidified your idea and you've got a solid team around you, you then need to obviously outsource to find these marketing companies. You need to find a reliable platform that's going to launch your token sale. Obviously, you've got to develop your contract for one, put it through the steps that I've just mentioned. You need to have a security audit. It's not essential. It's not, not everyone gets security audits, but in my eyes, it is crucial. You have to get it done. Once all of those steps have been met, you can obviously go straight into development. usually while that's kind of going on, I would say it's probably best to start building a kind of community around that. I mean, again, a lot of companies do it the other way around. They launch with the concept in mind. You know, they get a little bit of code written, they launch the token with the concept. Then some of them don't even have a plan at the beginning. They don't even say we're going to be doing this. That's 6 months, 12 months down the line, and say, oh, hey, we've decided we're going to be a launchpad now. It's like, oh, well, great. What was the point in that from the beginning? None. But yeah.
What are the other steps involved?
To be brutally honest, not a huge amount else. I mean, people could literally, and this is what happens, and this is the problem. People go and they hard fork code, they change the name on it, they build a community around it, they send it viral, they build up false hope, then nothing happens.
So that's just like skinning an app.
It's basically reskinning an app. I mean, what they're effectively doing is they're doing the easy work at the start, but they're not doing any of the complicated work and actually delivering the MVP.
What's it like dealing with investors?
Investors, hard. Yeah.
Why?
Hard. Because emotions run high in crypto. Especially when money's involved, there's a lot of emotion. Previous projects, I've had people kind of direct messaging me saying, give me your identity or else, type, yeah, serious, like real. I haven't had any death threats just yet, so to speak, but we've been DDoS attacked before. We've had, our Telegram chats be hacked by people, throwing 6,000 bots in there, on one hit and stuff like that. Previous projects, I've had investors kind of come at me disgruntled at the beginning. I'm approachable. Anyone can speak to me. If they've got any queries, they can always come speak to me. I'll always speak to them.
How do they speak to you though? Because you're anonymous, right?
Completely anonymous, yeah.
But so they speak to you on Telegram.
Speak to me on Telegram, yeah.
And so people who are watching this, could they just go on Telegram and chat with you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we monitor the chat and we're always in there, so we're happy to answer any questions that anyone's got.
How does it impact the project when investors are applying so much pressure? And rightly so, it's their money.
Yeah.
But how does that impact yourself? Because you've got a lot on your shoulders here. You're trying to get done with your own money invested as well.
It's hard work, mate. It's really, really hard work because ultimately it plays on you. I go to bed, I wake up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night thinking about this stuff. I think, how can I do it better? What can I do better for these investors, for the product? How can we push forward in a better sense? Or, if we come across a problem, wake up in a cold sweat thinking about it. It's non-stop. The emotions run high. Negative investors can have a really, really bad effect on a product. You think people that obviously have invested their money and then they come into a group and then start kind of really digging into it and saying, well, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? For new investors joining that group, they're going to join and see that straight away and think, I don't want nothing to do with this.
Do you think many of the investors are inexperienced investors and crypto's the first?
Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. One of the biggest problems we face in crypto is people don't do their research. People are lazy, and that's the problem. That's the problem with us as humankind. It's human nature actually now just to be lazy. People would rather have something handed to them than to actually go out and put in the work and get something done. It blows my mind why people don't research into something more thoroughly before putting money into something. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
And a lot of the startups are inexperienced as well, right? As well as the investors.
Yeah.
Projects.
Yeah.
So
Completely.
what you really have is would you agree that we have what's just called an immature market right now?
You could say that, or another term you could use would be the blind leading the blind. It really is. We're heading off into this space that not anyone really knows the full potential of what it can bring. So there's been a lot of negativity in it so far. It's about time that some real good kind of came through and started proving to people that we can actually use this for our benefit, not just to increase the wealth that we have.
How would you like to see the market change from here? Or how would you like to see the cryptocurrency space evolve from here? What would you like to see change?
I would absolutely love to see these rug pulls stop. because it causes so much problem with legitimate companies like ourselves actually trying to achieve something. I mean, the problems we had trying to start up, maybe we shouldn't have jumped onto the meme thing, but we thought it would serve well to kind of almost take the piss out of them, say, hey, we actually do something. That was the whole kind of idea.
Which is interesting because when Bitcoin came out, obviously Dogecoin was supposed to be just that,
Yeah.
but in reverse.
Yeah.
What you're saying is we've had now too much of the reverse.
Yeah.
In terms of memes, here's something that actually has a utility.
Exactly.
And so all of this hinges on you seeing this through, just like
100%.
Satoshi who brought Bitcoin out.
Yeah. But you got it out there, didn't you?
We got it out there.
So that's exactly what it relies on. But our investors will realise this. When this MVP comes out, they will see. This is what we've been promising. This is what we will deliver.
What scares you the most?
It not working. Not in the sense of the tech, but more in the sense of people reluctant to see a better way. People reluctant to change is, I think, the thing that scares me the most. We have too much power in the hands of the wrong people throughout the world, and unfortunately, a vast majority of people still listen to those powerful entities. That's what scares me the most.
Do you think crypto is a way to redistribute some say into the hands of, let's call it, the underdog?
My absolute end goal would be to have a decentralized world. I don't see any reason why we can't be running countries on governance coins and having communities put votes in for changes in legislation and ways that their countries are basically run. It makes no sense to me anymore to have one dictator lead the whole way.
So you've clearly got a lot of experience, negative and positive, in the space. You clearly have a very strong vision. There's going to be other people that feel the same who will want to connect with you, albeit anonymously. Where do people go?
Come into our Telegram chat. Come join the community. If you go on, I think you could probably type into Google "slap moonass" or something like that. That's our Telegram channel. You can also find it on our website if you go on www.moonass.com. You'll also find all of our relevant links. We've got a ton of information out on Medium as well. We're quite regular with updating our information on Medium. We've also got a light paper out and any other documentation that people wish to check out before properly communicating. But please feel free, come into the community. Let's have a chat. Let's change the way we think and change the way we live.
Are you looking for more investors here? Or are you looking for a bigger community?
I'm looking for a bigger community, without a shadow of a doubt.
You want other people to buy into your vision.
I want people to see what we can do. I think once people see what we can actually do and realise what we are on the edge of, I think it's going to snowball, quite frankly. But as I said, the money's not everything. What's more important here is the change that we can make.
Well, Buzzmoon, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.